Hello there, how is everyone? I hope you're all well on this marvellous Memorial Day, and this is video 2 of 2, and you're looking absolutely amazing, unlike me, blue and green. I look like a fucking bruise. But anyway, I'm going to get on with it. I'm going to get straight into the meat and potatoes. As I said in video 1 that I was going to be talking about in video 2, some questions and answers. Now, some of you may have already seen these, some of you won't, but I thought I'd bring them to your attention because they're just part of the story. And I think it's important to have everything and have the knowledge of everything because it gives you an insight into why certain people feel a certain way about certain people. And this was an email that was sent to me by AB. They'll just go by AB. They know who they are. Thank you very much for sending it to me. I do believe that I'd seen these previously when they come out. These come out originally about a year ago. But I'll read it to you, okay? So, a former security co-worker of BK shared some info anonymously, but verified by mods. Now, I trust my mods, do you know what I mean? I trust them wholeheartedly. If they came at me and said, you need to speak to this person, and they are who they say they are, I would trust them. Can't speak the same for these mods, don't know them. Don't know them at all, but again, my mods, I would absolutely 100% believe them if they came to me and said, this is so-and-so, and you can speak, you can speak on that subject. But yeah, for these, can't verify it, don't know. I'm just bringing it to you because this is stuff that was out there, right? So it says, it was originally on the group University of Idaho Murders, and they answered some users' questions. They had apparently worked with BK pre-pandemic days in the Poconos as security. And it says theory, right? So they're saying, I do believe he did it, but only for research. He wasn't able to get through research and needed to have real-world experience. I feel like we are all a pawn in his game, and this post, he planted the sheath, and at this point, he planted the sheath, and why else would it be wiped of prints and DNA? I think he feels like he has a shot at getting a not guilty verdict. He has crossed all of his I's and dotted his T's. I hope the law enforcement operatives have found something that they haven't shared. I also find one of our members' theories plausible, that BK was mimicking another case, which I believe this later goes to say is the Danny Rowland case, but we'll get there in a second, right? We'll get there. Don't lose me, because some of this, when you think this was a year ago and we're now a year down the track, does any of it kind of come together and make sense? Asked him about having a girlfriend. No, during the years we worked together, he did not have a girlfriend. I have a hard time believing he was on hard narcotics, considering he was so strict with intermittent fasting and vegan lifestyles. So intermittent fasting, for those of you who don't know, it's a way that you can diet. So the idea is that you don't eat for a certain period of time, and then you take all of your calories in within a specific, what they call like an eating window. So that's intermittent fasting. Is in fact one of the easier, well, I say easy, it's not easy, but one of the most proven to work techniques for losing weight, intermittent fasting. So he knew what he was doing. And he was obviously taking it seriously. But this talks about the vegan lifestyle, as well as the fact that he had aspirations to work for the FBI. Didn't know that. We knew that he wanted to work in law enforcement. This specifically states that he wanted to work for the FBI. We would talk about personality traits and disorders. He cared about what people thought about him, but couldn't pick up on social cues or how they felt without being told. Yes, he was absolutely interested in serial killers and their thought processes. I never felt in harm's way with him. Of the co-workers that I have spoken to, nobody felt that he would hurt them necessarily, but nobody would want to piss him off. He reacted once out of anger in a burst of energy. He had lied about an incident and got caught, which made him mad. He forgot there were cameras. Now, this was to do with hitting somebody's car. It hit someone's car and apparently had put mud on over the mark and said that he didn't do it, but he was actually caught on camera. Apparently, this is all apparently. So he got caught on camera and was really pissed off that he got caught about it. Last time I saw him was this summer at a walking park twice. He was pleasant as expected. It was just a nice coincidence. Now, bearing in mind this came out a year ago, remember, this has come out a year ago, and this person saw him twice. I saw him, this was summer, at a walking park twice. So this person is basically corroborating that he was somebody who would go out to parks. And now, was that Wawawi Park? We don't know, but this is someone who was a year ago stating that they'd seen him twice during the summer at a walking park. He was pleasant as expected. It was just a nice coincidence. His parents are as kind as they portray. They have had an excellent reputation locally, and I've heard this previously with other people who have spoken about his parents. The mum used to work at the school where Bryan Kohberger attended, for those of you who didn't know. Right, how were his interactions with women? He would speak to people in the general public quietly and not with much authority, even though he was in a position of authority. This was the same for men and women alike. As far as anyone who he seemed interested in, I couldn't say. My personal interactions with him were with his knowledge of my marital status. Our conversations are factual and informative, never silly. He wasn't one to joke around. So my main thought is this. It's been said he really wanted to get into the FBI. Why on planet Earth would he do something to possibly jeopardize something he wanted so badly? If I was trying to get into an agency? The answer to that question, my only explanation is that he really thinks he can work the system. It will be his ultimate success. He swore up and down that he did not hit someone's car in a parking lot. He went so far as to rub dirt on the person's car who had hit to cover up the damage. He denied it, and when it was presented to him, he got mad when the tape showed what he did. Not apologetic, he was mad because he got caught by the system. Did he have a sense of humour? He was very serious and literal. He didn't have a funny bone per se. He didn't get sarcasm or social cues. What do you think his motive was, and do you think he had an obsession with any of the female victims? I think his motive was research. Those girls, why those girls? Because he couldn't overpower men. Maybe he wanted to tick off the boxes of what he wanted to portray. Maybe because it seemed easy to scout the place. It was a party house. Learn the layout and the girls' schedules. Remember, we've learned a lot since then. So this is based on what they knew back then. So we know that a lot of this is now null and void, if you like. But I appreciate that this person was going off the information they had at the time. When you say that no one would want to piss him off, what exactly did you mean? If he did something wrong, we wouldn't want to bring it to his attention. For one, he would want every detail of why it was wrong and why we thought he did it. Which this statement here kind of coincides with the interaction that we saw with the law enforcement officer who had pulled him over, referenced the driving infringement. So I kind of feel that this is actually quite accurate in a description of what he could potentially be. He finds out he's done something wrong and he wants to go in depth in it and find out exactly and explain himself and listen. So this actually seems genuine. It could be as small as him forgetting to clean out the squad car and he would defend himself beyond need. What kind of things did you talk about? He was into personality traits and types at the time, probably because he was still in his psychology portion of schooling. He had me even take a personality quiz, and we compared our findings. I am very outgoing and bubbly, and he found it intriguing. We would talk about how people would think. We would talk about serial killers and what could physically be happening in the brain of someone who kills other people. He shared his career goals of being in criminal forensics. Do you think he chose them randomly, or do you think he had an interaction with them? I would have to take a guess and base my opinion. Here we go. I think he chose them because of the ease of access, since it was a party house. I don't know if he would have been conversational with any of them. Now, I don't know whether he's trying to say that they don't seem to be the kind of people that he would have got involved in. But again, how does that play into what we know now? What did he have an outburst over? He had another co-worker. He and another co-worker were arguing about something. I don't remember what, but BK was proven wrong. That's what set him off. He didn't like to not be the smartest in the room, which has kind of been a bit of a generic statement. So this is where it loses a little bit of, I suppose, credibility. Have you ever seen him emotional, have emotions other than anger or agitation? They put inquisitive. I've seen him wonder why people act or think like they do. I haven't seen him in love or sad. I've seen annoyed. I wasn't even around for his outburst over the car incident. He hit someone's car, tried to cover it up, questioned, denied, proven via camera, got mad. Obsessive. He got upset because he was seen on local news camera in uniform with a cup of coffee in his hands and was reprimanded for it. He held on to that for a while. Did he have any close friends? When we could speak, one of his old co-workers was his closest friends. It unfortunately was one-sided. BK found the other person to be his friend more than it was reciprocated. Now, I've wondered whether this was actually Bryan Kohbergers. I know, random thought, but I've thought about it, and I'm sure other people has. If that makes sense, BK was clingy. Once he felt he could speak with you, this person in particular worked every weekend with him, both days, same shift, just the two of them. I would come in after the first shift and BK would stay for a few hours to hang out and drink coffee with me. I did this every other weekend for almost 2 years. Was there anything he did or said that you felt raised a red flag that you specifically remember that caused you concern or pause? I mentioned in someone else's questions that they don't like to be proven wrong, that he didn't like to be proven wrong. We wouldn't want to approach him about any criticism or accusations. His immediate reaction was defence. Which case do you think he was mimicking? And they've put, yes, Rolling, that's the Danny Rolling case. How well did you know him? Did you ever spend time with him outside of work? They've just put, he was lonely. He would punch out and hang out for several hours after his shift was over to drink coffee and talk. If it wasn't with me, it was with the other person who would come in on the weekends. I wasn't there. I didn't hang out with him more than 2 times outside of work. Those times were to eat lunch during training off campus with a fellow co-worker. Were you in disbelief, or did you think he was capable of these types of crimes? I called a co-worker and had a mini holy crap session. His response was, I know, my mum just woke me up. We all know he would do something, but not this. What would you say he had an obsession type of person? Would you say he had an obsessive type of personality? Absolutely. So that was potentially an ex-co-worker who'd worked with him. I'd be interested to get your thoughts and feelings on how you feel since we're now a year down the track. So a lot of other things have come out. A lot of things have been refuted and dismissed as claims such as stalking or anything like that. But I do feel, even though I cannot verify that as accurate whatsoever, I do find that some of the things that were said do sort of play out in the way that we've seen them. Again, like the aforementioned interaction with the law enforcement officer when she had stopped him. I did feel that kind of coincided with that, and that hadn't come out for public knowledge when this had. Not to my knowledge, anyway. I think this was much earlier. But let me know what you think. Had you seen that? Had you heard of it before? And has it changed your perception of Bryan, or do you think that it's irrelevant, completely irrelevant, or do you think that was just someone who was trying to troll people? I'm on the fence, as usual. I'll catch you all tomorrow.